Good afternoon. Welcome to Rounds True Value. It's evening here, and Bruce has suggested that we talk about the snowstorm of 2015. I think it's most appropriate to go back to the snowstorm of 1978. So what I recall Dad talking about was that he and Mark hiked over to Stoneham from Linfield and opened up the store and started selling snow shovels. Dad used to like to buy snow shovels, so he had lots of them and lots of them. And at that time, there were still recesses in the basement with old shovels. Dad would refer to them as coal shovels, wood-handled dirt spades, things that had been down in that basement perhaps since World War II. And they brought them all up, and anything that could be used to shovel snow, they shoveled snow. They sold everything that was a shovel in the store, and they may have slept over, or they sold everything that they could sell, and then went home, and that was it. So that was the 1978 snowstorm. The 2015 snowstorm started off with a slight snow cover. You and Dad were coming out of the store here. I had already gone to the back parking lot. I slipped, fell, and broke my ankle. And as I was writhing in pain on the ground, I could see Bruce and Dad up at the corner of the building here, and I thought they were talking about who was going to go back into the store to get a 2x4 to finish me off, because this is the arrangement that we had with my father, who was getting to be elderly at that time. Dad would go down the stairs, and we'd say, well, be careful, don't fall and kill yourself, Dad, and if you do, then we'll have to finish you off. And his response was always, well, make sure it's a good stout blow so that you get me with one hit. And I thought, Bruce and Dad were going to go back into the armory and get a piece of gas pipe and finish me off in the parking lot. As it turns out, Dad didn't have an alarm code, and Bruce was too lazy to go back in. So they came to the parking lot, saw that I was in need of medical attention. They lifted me up into a car. I went off to Melrose Wakefield, and 6 hours later, I was over at Mass General looking to have surgery done and all of that. But anyway, I come home the following day, and it's still snowing. And I have my laptop, and I have my connection to the store. Bruce came down, was plowing. The snow continued, right?
Okay, it just started,
So
it just never stopped.
He had a crew in the store. He was selling lots of snow shovels and ice melter. I saw that there were sales occurring at the store through my internet connection, so I started looking around for more ice melter and snow shovels, and I believe I got a pallet of roof rakes, and I got 2 pallets of roof ice melter. I was getting all sorts of stuff. I just kept ordering stuff, and it would come in. And then True Value ran out of ice melter, and our secondary supply house ran out of ice melter. And I started looking around for ice melter elsewhere. And I reasoned, gee, I can get this stuff direct. So I bought a trailer of ice melter, came into the store. Bruce had been plowing snow all day and selling all day, and then a tractor trailer came up, so we had to unload that. Then the following day, another tractor trailer showed up.
The thing that was going on was stuff was coming in, and it was going out faster than we could handle it. At one point, we got an 18-wheeler of shovels, and we couldn't get the fork truck out, so we just took all the shovels and threw them into the store.
Yes.
And the store was packed with shovels in every aisle, because a whole 18-wheeler of shovels, and we actually sold all those pretty much within a day or two.
That's right.
And we also were getting some, you were able to find out, our friend Tom had some lines on calcium chloride out of Canada.
Right.
And I was unloading trucks with calcium chloride
Right.
with the mad Canadian truck drivers.
Yes.
At one point, I was backing the fork truck out, and the truck driver wanted to get off of the top of the pallets, so he jumped about 10 feet onto the forks, and 2 of the wheels came off of the ground. I didn't know what had happened, and so anyways, I let him down on the ground. He didn't speak any English, so I couldn't really yell at him, but I thought the whole fork truck was going to go over. He was about a 280-pound Canadian truck driver that was just laughing all the time. I don't know.
Because he was drunk. Bruce.
It's probably, but boy, I'll tell you, and we did that quite a few times, and we sold all that stuff.
Sold all of it. It was the biggest month we'd ever had in business. We did more in that month than Dad had done for the entire year for most of his career in the hardware business.
The thing for me was that I kind of felt a little alone because you were at the house, so I'd plow when we closed, I'd unload at night, and then I'd plow before we opened, and we kept going with that for about 6 weeks.
It was only about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It got to the point where the sales in ice melters started to slow, and I had to wholesale some of it off. It required more forklift work.
Well, do you remember? That's right. But do you remember? You ordered a
The snow scoop.
not the snow scoop, the roof rakes. I think on one pallet there was 100 and it was 2 gross or something like that on a pallet, and it was one pallet. We called up to find out where it was, and they said, and the company says they shipped it. I talked to the shipper, and they said, well, it won't be there for another 2 weeks, which was death. We would have been stuck with all of them. So I said, where is it? And it was basically up in a warehouse next to the Massachusetts border. So I told them I was coming up to get it, and they told me that they didn't do that kind of thing, and I drove up there anyways. I looked through some glass, and there was our pallet, and I think I thought they were getting ready to steal it because they told me that I couldn't come up. They told me that it might be there, it might not be, and it was right in the middle of their floor. And then the guy came out and says, we can't find the paperwork, why don't you come back later? And I said, I'm not leaving. I was about to call the police, it's emergency stuff. So we got them, and we had a line of people that went all the way around the store and out the door.
Of course, I don't remember that. I was home in bed with my foot in a cast. I had coffee and warmth. Bruce had chaos, confusion, cold, ice, screaming customers, exhausted staff members. Didn't bother me though, not at all.
There was an older couple that called me for looking for a roof rake, and I had given out numbers to everybody on the floor, and so they called up looking for a roof rake, and I said that I had some, but they were all accounted for because I'd given everybody a number, and then they started yelling and screaming at me that I was a complete animal, that I didn't care about old people.
Well, that's probably true, but in this case, their number had not come up.
Their number had not come up. So I did what I could, and I hung up the phone.
That's all you can do.
Yes, but that just about killed me, Bill. That was a long one.
It was. That's true. So that was the winter of 2015, and that was really the last good winter. Of course, in the hardware business, we profit through the adversity of others, just like doctors, lawyers, and dentists. But that was a particularly good winter. Good winters for the hardware business would be bad winters for everybody else. And we haven't had much in the way of good winters, or good summers, or good springs, or good falls. It's like everything has changed. The big floods we don't see anymore. The big winters, few and far between.
I felt as though those things really made the business.
They made the business.
And they just don't happen anymore.
No.
You know, I remember one winter it was just ice all the way through. Dad was unloading ice melt by hand down at the other store.
Yes.
You know, a fork truck was not available at that point.
Right. No, that was, that's why Dad, I guess, kept in good shape throughout most of his life. He did not have a forklift, so he did it by hand. Those were the days.
Those were the days.
So, and I guess that's it for those two snowstorms anyway.